Welcome to another Star Wars book review here on a podcast named Tim. I'm Zach, and today we're going to be discussing, from a certain point of view, The Empire Strikes Back. This is the second in this anthology series, the first being just called From a Certain Point of View, and this was released November 10th, 2020. If you've never read any of these series, basically they are again an anthology series which the original EU was famous for, with the Tales from Jabba's Palace, Tales from Bounty Hunters, etc. And now we're doing background characters specifically focused on each movie. So, for example, the first one, and they're celebrating the 40th anniversary of each movie. Thus, there are 40 different stories by a number of authors, and obviously different actors for the audio. Um, the first book, of course, focused on New Hope, so we got 40 different background characters or background stories about things that are going on in the universe. And just like that one, doing the same thing now here for The Empire Strikes Back. And the way these work is they basically go through the full movie as it's happening. So we get some stories about Hoth, we get some stories about the Dagobah, and then we go to Cloud City, and then there's some in between about the asteroid field and some bounty hunters as well. But that's kind of the main flow. It's you're flowing with the movie about what's going on, and it's essentially any character that you would expect, and some you would not expect. Get stories. And with a book that is having 40 different stories, there's going to be something there for every Star Wars fan. Obviously, they're not all going to hit, they're not all going to land, because again, it's 40 different stories. But as always, with all of the Star Wars books, the audio quality, as far as the actual voice acting and the cast, and just that Star Wars music and feel, the quality of their audiobooks is just superb and excellent. It feels like you're watching a Star Wars show or a movie. So it really feels like a part of the universe. But I wanted to tell you that I think it's worth going out to get. I listened to the audio version of it. You can pick it up to read. It's about almost 600 pages, and the audiobook's about 18 hours. So it'll take you some time to get through, which is why this review is coming almost a month after it came out. Absolutely worth picking up. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because there are so many interesting stories in there. And I'd like to highlight some of the ones that really hit for me and some of the ones that didn't hit for me. And this is just no particular order as far as least to worst, just kind of as they come along as I'm going through the list here. Rogue 2 was a great story about Zev Seneca. I can never remember anyone's name or read. It's by Gary Whitta, and talks about Rogue 2. And if you remember, he's the person who is flying the land speeder and says, "Rogue 2, I found them." So again, a Hoth story, and kind of talks about him trying to fill the vacuum when Luke's missing, to be in charge of the squadron. Really good book. A really good story, excuse me, and just kind of hit home the camaraderie and the bond. And Leia has a great moment in the book or in the story. So that was one of my favorite ones. The Dragon Snake saves R2D2. If you want a bonus one, is fun, and I'm sure it'll have repercussions for all of Star Wars and canon. Mind is blown. Who would have known that something this grand could have happened? Um, the Truest Duty, which is about Maximilian Veers. If you don't know who he is, he's the I guess general who is leading the AT-AT attack on the Hoth planet. He's the one that tells Vader, "You can land now." That was really good. The First Lesson talks about Yoda first meeting up with Luke for the first time, is great. Disturbance, which is, I believe, when is the one with the Emperor, and where he's discovering that Vader's unable to hide his feelings, so you find out kind of how he's learned about Luke's heritage. Uh, Tooth and Claw. It's about Bosk. That was a really good story. It goes into some of his background. Let's see what else is on here that's really great. Standard Imperial Procedure is a fun little story. It kind of talks about how Boba Fett's Slave One got into the trash before it was thrown out. And there were a couple other ones here I wanted to highlight. Those are the main ones that I'm looking at. Yes. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. All in all, really, really good stuff. Oh, and Amar Kel's Rules for Thai Pilot Survival, probably. That was one of the other ones I wanted to highlight. But all in all, really good. As you can see, a nice mix of kind of the pilot's background characters and some of our main characters that are force users. Some of the ones that didn't land were kind of the same for me each time. And the two that really stick out for not landing were, I believe it was called Heroes of the Rebellion, which is about a tauntaun. And there was another one where I don't even remember the name of it, but they highlight another non-sentient being and they give it sentience. It wasn't the Wampa one because there was one about a Wampa that was actually really good, and there was one about the cave. I know which one it was. This is no cave. That was the name of it, which gives sentience and the background story for the giant worm thing that eats the ship where the Monarchs are and everything when they're in the asteroid cave. I would say, which is named Sayo. So this is no cave and Heroes of the Rebellion, which, excuse me, maybe Heroes of the Rebellion is incorrect. I am sorry. I think it's She Will Keep Them Warm. It's the one about Tauntauns. Um, both of those, again, they're giving sentience to beings that aren't that we don't. And it just seems unnecessary, and that's one of the things that I really like about some of these. When you have 40 stories, it feels like they're just trying to force it in. I remember the first from a certain point of view book. They did the little monster that's in the trash compactor. They did a whole like background story about that whole thing's life, and it's same thing. Just those stories don't really connect for me. So other than those, I think everything else was really good. I actually think the Cloud City portion of it was the weakest. I think that the stuff on Hoth was really good, and the stuff with all the Imperials and them reacting to Vader and reacting to each other. All of those stories are really great. I do think Bespin City was the weakest portion of it. Although I will say there was one story in here where it's a chef on Imperial on Cloud City, and they do highlight that they didn't know what Vader ate because mask. So that was a fun little story. All in all, again, really good book or audio book. Check it out. I'm going to be doing another review here. I have two more that definitely I'm working on right now. One is going to be Shadowfall, which is the second in the series Alphabet Squadron, and then the other one's going to be the new Thrawn book that came out recently. I haven't had a chance to dive into that one. I am over halfway done with Shadowfall, so hopefully that'll be coming out in a couple weeks. And we're going to be doing some other Star Wars content here on the show in addition to our Mandalorian reviews. So hopefully you've been checking out those. And we'll do some other little fun things here. Let me know if your thoughts on the book, if you had a favorite story, least favorite story, and we're going to be doing a prediction video here soon. I'm going to rewatch Return of the Jedi and maybe do a prediction video on who I think is going to get some stories for the next one that's coming out in, I guess it'll be 3 years. And maybe we'll do that for all of them when they come up, although there'd be a pretty big gap between that and the Phantom Menace. But thank you for checking this out, and we'll see you all next time on a podcast named Tim.